A fish and chip shop sells essentially three things it does not control: a potato crop decided by the weather, fish priced on the North Atlantic market, and cooking oil traded globally by the tonne. Every one of those can move against you in a single season, and the price you charge is the one thing that cannot move at all. That is the whole business, and it is worth understanding before you buy one. Start with the shop itself, because the entry cost tells you what kind of operation this really is. A chip shop is not a cafe with a fryer. It is a small, hot, heavy-duty kitchen built around one enormous piece of equipment: the range. A commercial frying range. The stainless steel counter at the front that most people never really look at is the single most expensive thing in the building, and a good one costs as much as a car. Behind it sits the extraction and ventilation, which is not optional because you are boiling oil in an enclosed room for hours at a time, and the ducting and the fans and the cleaning of them is a permanent, unglamorous cost. Then the rest. The fridges, the freezers, the potato rumbler that peels the spuds, the chip chipper, the fryers, the fit out, and a shop front on a high street or a parade that you are almost certainly renting. So before you have cooked a single chip, you have built a commercial kitchen and taken on a lease. Now the three inputs, and because this is where the trap lives, the potato comes first, and it is not just any potato. Frying takes a particular kind, grown to a particular size and dry matter content, and the crop depends entirely on the weather across a British growing season. A wet autumn, a bad harvest, a cold spring, and the price of the right potato climbs, and there is nobody you can complain to about the rain. You take the market price because the potato does not care that you have a shop to run. The fish comes second, and it is more exposed still. Cod and haddock are priced on an international market, landed and traded and sold on by the box, and the number moves with the size of the catch, the quotas, the strength of the pound against the currencies you are buying in, and the cost of the fuel in the trawler. None of those things happen in your shop. All of them arrive at your counter in the price of a fillet. The oil comes third, and it is the one most people forget. A chip shop gets through an enormous volume of cooking oil, and not simply because it fries all day. Oil breaks down every hour it is held at temperature, darkening and turning, so it cannot just be topped up when it runs low. It has to be partly drained and replaced on a schedule, whether trade was busy or not, which means a large standing quantity is bought, used, degraded, and thrown away as a matter of routine. And oil is a global commodity like any other, tied to harvests and energy prices and events on the other side of the world. Three inputs, three separate global markets, not one of them under your control. And here is the number that ties them together. In recent years, every one of those three has at some point moved sharply upward, some of them very sharply indeed. Now look at the board above the counter. It has barely moved, because you did not set the price of a portion of chips. Your customers did, and they did it a long time ago, and they carry that number in their heads with a certainty they apply to almost nothing else they buy. They do not know what a coffee should cost, or a sandwich, or a pint, not really. But they know, to the 10 pence, what chips should cost, and they will tell you the instant you cross it. You inherited that number. You did not calculate it from your potato invoice, your fish delivery, and your energy bill. It was decided for you by custom, and it is enforced by every customer who has ever walked in. So, you are caught in a very specific vice. Every cost you carry is set by a global market and moves upward. The one price you charge is set by public memory and barely moves at all, and the gap between those two things is your entire living. Then there is the heat. The range runs hot, and it runs for hours, because the oil has to be up to temperature and held there through every quiet stretch of the day, ready for whoever walks in. Frying is one of the most energy-intensive things done on any high street, and when energy prices rose, that bill rose with them, directly, on a business that cannot simply turn the fryer off between customers. So the fixed costs run hot and constant. The three great inputs push upward from below, and the price sits fixed above, held in place by a number the public settled on years ago. Which is why the maths only works one way. You cannot easily charge more. So you must use less, waste nothing, and do almost all of the labour yourself. The families who run these shops are not there at all hours by choice. They are there because the only variable left to control, once the potato and the fish and the oil and the energy and the rent have all been set by someone else, is how much of their own time they are willing to pour into it. And even that has a flaw. Because there is a point below which the portion of chips is no longer worth making, and a point above which the customer simply will not pay. And those 2 points have moved closer together with every year that the inputs have climbed and the price has not. So if you decide to open a fish and chip shop, understand what you are actually buying. You are buying 3 global commodity markets you cannot influence, a kitchen full of heat you cannot switch off, and a single selling price you are not permitted to set, because it was set for you by the public before you ever took the keys. You control the effort, you control nothing else. And the price of a portion of chips is the one number in the whole business that was never yours to write.